Hello, welcome to another edition of It's All About the Dogs. I'm your host, George Philip Quinlan, and today we're going to be talking about technology and how it can advance us in our dog training and availability to information. I want to talk about how life has changed so much for us as far as how we get our information and how quickly we can get it. It can also add to problems with getting misinformation and getting information from the inappropriate people. And what I mean by that is, when I first started in 1970, I had an excessive library, and you would sit down with 3, 4, 5 books at a time, and I would seek out a topic, house training, and I would look through house training, and I would look at 3 to 5 different books on how this people did house training if I'm using library books. If I was seeking out more complicated topics, then I would make sure that the authors I have were qualified and I knew their work and I was aware of their work and their proven facts that they were sharing in the books. And it takes a lot more energy to publish a book than it does to put a podcast on the internet. So those days I would sit down and seek out information and compare it to other books. Now I can do the same thing, but it can be a lot easier, and anybody can put whatever they want on the internet and call themselves an expert. So we want to talk a little bit about this, about the amount of information you can get and how fast you can get it and where you're getting it from. We have computers now. We have tablets available to us to on the go when we're doing research, and we have smartphones, and the smartphones are always in our pocket, and so it wouldn't be uncommon for me to run into a situation and kind of tap into it and kind of check on something or check on my own business from time to time when I was on the road. So the idea is understanding where we're getting our information from. The idea is what are we going to do with it when we get this information? Is it going to be beneficial, or is it going to affect us in a negative way? So let's look at the difference between using an internet, using a book, and talking a behavior issue. We'll talk about behavior issues over training right now. And so if you have a behavior problem at home that you're seeing, if your dog is having problems with being left alone in the house and it's tearing up the things for short periods and it's a brand new behavior, it's never happened before, your dog's 5 years old, what are you going to do? Well, easy access compared to a book, unless you have an excessive library, is going to be to go to the internet. And so in that sense, it's extremely beneficial having access to the internet and looking up and knowing where to go. And who you're going to be researching from, whose work you're going to be researching. What's even best is to speak to somebody who's been in the profession for a long time, who's educated in the field, and who's used to working with dogs under variable conditions. The things that we look for that you're not going to find on the internet to be able to answer your questions is when you sit down and talk with somebody, I'm going to be able to design this program or design my questions for your specific needs and not just a one-time deal or give a broad statement that's going to be a portrait with a wide 3-inch brush. I'm going to be able to find out what's going on. The internet can be extremely beneficial and let you know what causes separation problems. It's not always anxiety. There could be a variety of different reasons, and if you're reading something online, how are you going to know what you have? So the idea is educating yourself, being a smart consumer, being a good advocate for your dog as a dog owner. You don't have to become a specialist as far as it can take a lot of time to research a lot of things. That's why there are many of us in the field and do this, and that's all we do all day long. That's our full-time job. So the idea is take the benefit of going to a library and looking to see what kind of books there are and sit down and enjoy how this person feels about their training and from A to Z, to start to finish, okay? On the internet, you could buy an ebook, and that can be extremely helpful. I have to be honest, I never thought I would get involved with the ebooks, but with my new tablet, I am absolutely loving having the ebooks and the accessibility to me So if I'm on the road, I have it right with me at all times now. It's what I'm looking at isn't necessarily the emergency, but if I have a downtime, I can sit back and kind of finish a project that I already started at the office and I'm on the road. It helps me out. When I'm going to see a client, I have my notes with me. I'll have their files with me at all times. I don't have to worry about bringing my computer. I don't have to worry about lugging around pages and pages of papers. It's very beneficial. But we want to stay on topic of understanding the difference and what you can achieve from talking to somebody. You're going to get personal one-on-one attention if you see a pet behavior consultant or a counselor, okay? One-on-one attention for your particular dog's problems is going to be different than if you're having an obedience problem compared to, again, a dog that's destroying the house or being left alone. Oftentimes people will call me and say it's an anxiety. Well, is it an anxiety, or is the dog just spoiled and just doesn't want to be left alone? Remember what anxiety is. And so the idea is when we come home, are we inducing this behavior, or if it's something that he can't control? Do we have a phobic dog? Is there something happening that's causing the anxiety to develop because it has phobias to loud noises such as thunder, fireworks, loud noises? It's not uncommon for me to get calls with dogs that are 4 or 5, 6 years old, never had a problem before. Well, we have to look at a variety of things, and oftentimes I'll ask people, have they had any problem if we have a dog digging at the doorway, for instance, or at the window, trying to get out of the house? One of the concerns I have is I ask people, has anything happened in the house recently in the past 3 months? Has there been maybe a break-in or some kind of something negative happened at the front door where somebody was banging on the door? These are tough questions to ask, but that really puts me in the right direction to all of a sudden there's no reason for this behavior. There's usually is a reason for this behavior. What you're going to find in reading a note on the internet or listening to a podcast is that they're going to have to give you a blanket they can cover, but they can only cover so much of it. So take advantage of it. Look, listen to your signs and symptoms, and then move from there and seek out professional help, okay? How do we know when it's going to be a behavior issue compared to just an obedience problem? Well, again, that comes from research in advance or going and checking out an obedience class and sitting in a class and watching to see what they do, what the dog learns from. Are they learning traits of how dogs learn, or are they learning how to just do specific behaviors? The difference is at All About Dogs Behavior and Training Center, we're a combination. Our job is to educate. Our job is to help you understand how dogs learn, how bad habits start, and why it's important so we can stop the habits from you that's encouraging the bad habits. If you keep repeating the same thing over and over, your dog's going to keep giving you the same response again and again. So the difference, again, between an internet information and speaking with somebody is simply I can fine-tune it for you and put you in a program specifically for you and your family compared to getting a broad statement. But the internet has some wonderful opportunities for you to do, and what I want you to think about is research and education for yourself. And you can do that very simply by learning about the different style of training. In other words, you can talk to 10 different dog trainers, and each one may have a slight different variable in how they're going to approach something. The idea is the questions you're going to ask yourself is it humane? Is it effective? And are you going to be able to do it? Are you going to be able to follow the program? If you can't answer those three things with a yes, then maybe you need to evaluate whether or not what program fits best for you based on what your problem is, okay? If it's an obedience, let's talk about obedience for a second. Come sit, heel, down, recalls, walk on loose leash, foundation training that makes all dogs a lot happier because you're teaching them communication skills. You're developing a bond with them. You're teaching them problem-solving skills, stimulating their brain instead of just getting up, hanging around, chasing a toy, and eating, and then going to bed. That's daily routines I see over and over and over. But interacting with the dog and playing with the dog and incorporating these obedience skills into your play, everybody has fun. Everybody gets something out of it. You're not just trying to exhaust your dog and make a tired dog. You're actually stimulating the dog to problem solve, to learn, and use its body in the process. Anybody can take a dog out, a border collie, and throw a ball for 15, 20 minutes, and you do this 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day trying to tire it out, and all you're doing is building endurance. The idea is develop balance training with the mind and the body together, incorporate that with the relationship that you have with the animal and the reason that we have a dog. So, if we want to learn just obedience trainings, okay, then you want to teach yourself the different approaches. Operant conditioning compared to classical conditioning, compared to compulsive dog training. Understand what those terms mean. I can tell you, but I don't want you to memorize them. I want you to learn. I want you to research them. I want you to find out what they mean and what the pros and cons to them are, and what feels right to your soul. Most people do not want to use compulsive dog training with their dog because it's exactly what it is. It's compulsion, making the dog do something just by making the dog do it. Our goal is to teach your dog how to want to do things. Okay, so instead of just making a dog do things, we're going to teach them how to want to do things. Operant conditioning, classical conditioning. I believe I'm a strong classical conditioner. I've been using it for 43 years now, even longer than that. But I do incorporate operant conditioning with my training as well. So I'm not just one thing. I learn to adjust to the animal that I'm training with because I've trained animals, other species, other than just dogs. So learn what they are. Learn about the 4 quadrants. This is what's awesome about having internet access now, okay? Use it for obedience training and look at go to YouTube and look at the different things that are available to you, but understand why you're doing them. Don't just follow them blindly, okay? Know your sources. Who are these people? What's their credentials? Don't go with just because they have an alphabet in back of their name, meaning if you don't recognize an organization name, research the organization. Find out what it takes to get the credentials to become a dog trainer for that organization. The 2 organizations that I decided to dedicate myself are very, very difficult to get into, and that's why I chose them, because I wanted to be able to be the best that I can be to help you folks out with your dogs and not just go about a routine. Okay, both of these take a long time to get in, and they're reviewed by peers. All right. Any organization that's recognizing dog trainers and are offering certifications will also ask for continuing education. So that means I have to continuously go to classes myself, go to seminars, keep my reading going, keep refreshing myself, because it's very easy to become stagnant and repeat the same thing over and over. Sometimes it's fun to be a student. I believe it's the best thing in the world you can do. At 26 years of age, I promised myself I was going to learn something new every year for the rest of my life. And I'm not going to stop learning until the day comes when I can't function and I'm out of it completely and gone from this world. There's no reason to constantly challenge yourself. One of the things that I use, I take advantage of the internet, and I do a lot of webinars now where they're lectures and we can do them on the internet and they're live. But we're able to participate directly with the speaker. We are able to see their notes, get their pictures, get to talk to them, because we have speakers, we have microphones, we have cameras, and these computers that we're able to interact with somebody who might be 2,000 miles away. Okay, I've used Skype often for follow-ups on cases, or with cases that came to me from Georgia, Florida. My other cases that I've worked with in Oregon, I can keep update with people in Oregon where I used to live. For clients that want to stay with me, I can still use Skype and still be able to work with them. The internet has some really powerful resources, okay? So when you take classes, look to see what kind of classes, meaning I'm not saying you have to go spend $5,000 to become a dog trainer. What I'm saying is there are a lot of hour and a half. This is a 90-minute program. It's called CHOP. It's a predatory behavior in wolves and dogs. And it was fascinating because the gentleman that did the program, the gentleman that did the program was at the facility where I did my internship with wolves in 1996. And it was a lot of fun because we got a chance to talk for a second. And he decided to talk about my dogs during my two bouviers I had back in those days, about placing them in with the bison. And let's see how they would respond to the bison, how the bison would respond to them as the way that they would respond to wolves. It was quite fascinating. It was very humbling, but it was a lot of fun also for him to remember something that I did with them back in 1996. So it was kind of enjoyable to be able to talk to somebody from such a long distance away and to share with them. So you have things like this on the internet to be able to go to. Know your sources. I think it's critical that you don't want to just follow somebody because you read it somewhere. When I read things, I look to find out if the name's on there. Who's the person that wrote this article? Who is the person that's going on and sharing all this information? And if I don't recognize them, don't be afraid. Again, the power and speed of the internet is phenomenal. You can cut and paste or copy that name and hit it in Google, and you can come up with that person's research and find out who they are. And go to YouTube. See if they have a YouTube site available to you to be able to watch and find out what they're doing. Watch how they are with hands-on with the dog. And if that's something that you enjoy doing, is something that you can connect with. And then if the person is local, go see them. If they're not local, find somebody who uses that same technique that they use. Educate yourself. Don't get stuck with just the terminology. I have people call me often and they'll tell me, they'll use catchphrases that they read somewhere, but they didn't know the meaning of it. So when you use catchphrases and don't understand what the definitions are, what you're doing is giving bad information. Hi, Bob Duck. And so I want you to be able to have your dogs. Bobby's going to be 11 years old pretty soon, in 2 months. And we're hoping to take him out to visit some friends out in Ohio at the National Association of Dog Obedience Instructors annual conference, and they haven't seen him since he was 1.5 years old. So we're going to do our best to get you out there and so we can say hi to everybody and get together with some people and talk about longevity dogs, talk about sports injuries and so on, stuff like this. You want to make sure that your dog is capable of doing what you want to do. So again, the questions are, what do you want to do with your dog? What's your dog capable of doing? In other words, just because you decide you want to take your dog ski joring, the dog may not have the ability to do that, to run and pull you while you're on a pair of skis. You want to go out and do agility. The dog may not be structurally sound to be able to run out and do an agility course and what's demanded of them at a fast pace. They can still go out and play on it, but they never reach the competitive level, okay? That's the lady we're going to see in Ohio in a few months. This is what she does. She does rehabilitation, physical rehabilitation structures. So I'm going to have my dogs checked out and see how we're holding up. And if I can keep him around for a few more years and enjoy, he's doing very well. I like to see him be around for another at least 5 more years with me. Been with me since he was a puppy, and I like to hang on to him as long as I can. Through that, you can look at another resource online. Medical, what's out there in the market, what's acceptable. Look at the warning labels of products that are out there. Talk to your veterinarian before you put a medication on your dog for fleas or ticks. Learn what you can about vaccinating. Talk to your veterinarian. See what their thoughts are about vaccinations. Discuss it with them. If you like where you're going, then fine. It's just like finding a doctor for yourself. If you're reading things on the internet that are educating you about the dangers of something, talk to your veterinarian. See how they feel about it. Help them educate you even more okay? I want to see people find vets that they love being with, not just with a vet because they're down the street. I'm sure the vets want this as well. They want people, they want clients that are dedicated to the dogs and dedicated to the treatment plan that they want the dog to be on. You can't go in to see a vet, have you put on a treatment plan and complain about a medical problem, given the treatment plan and not follow it and expect it to have results. The same thing happens with dog training, okay? I can't put you on a behavior modification program and expect to see successes if you're not ready to do the work, okay? Talk around. Find out what the qualifications are of your pet behavior consultants. I'm a member of the Association of Pet Behavior Counselors. It's an international organization, and we had to give case studies of 4 different species, 3 dogs, and 1 extra species that I worked with, and I did it with a horse that I rehabilitated. We have to do continuing education program. We have to keep up on this. There are conferences available to us. We're in touch with each other. I miss the fact that I don't get over to Europe as much as I used to, so I don't make the annual conferences. But now with the internet system, we're able to keep in touch with each other and do webinars with them as well. And I hope the day comes when they're going to do the conference and do it in a Skype format. So myself and people from South Africa who are also members can instead of trying to get on a plane and go there for a 2-day conference, we can be home. The beauty of the internet is the speed, the accessibility, their availability to really, really intelligent folks. At the same time, you have a lot of scammers out there, and you have a lot of people who really understand marketing and will really try to push themselves through marketing. So do your homework. Be aware. Know what the terms mean. So when if you find yourself talking to somebody who keeps throwing these big terms at you about positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment, you'll know what they mean. If they're using terms, excessive terms, then why are they using them? But we should be talking to our consumer at what their needs as a pet owner should be. So I don't have to use fancy terminology. I can still get the message across, but understand what they mean, understand how they work, understand how you can put them into work for you and be beneficial, whether it's just doing obedience or you want to deal with a behavior issue, okay? We have to look at genetics when possible. We have to look at medical when possible, and we have to look at environmental. And environmental is the home that the animal lives in. And these are the things that affect the dog in all the obedience work that they do, or the behavior issues that they have, or even medical issues they could have. They're all 3 very, very important aspects of owning a dog and wanting to make the dog happier in yourself as well. Look at training your dog as a date, if you will, for lack of a better word, okay? Take some time to train your dog. Take some time to train your dog and consider it a date. Make some time for your dog to have an hour a day if possible. Not everybody does. An hour a week. That it would be fine to be able to go out into a class somewhere and spend an hour a week learning how to do something new, and then you come home with it and you spend time teaching the dog how to do this and get ready for the next week. Wednesday nights, I take my grandson to karate class. I love watching him learn. I love watching him struggle trying to learn new things, and then take him going home and sending him home with his homework and watching him show up the next week in class, and you can tell when he's done his homework and he's not. The same thing with my clients. I have clients that come to me. I have a beautiful email just sent to me yesterday thanking me so much because this gentleman and his wife came to see me with 2 dogs that were so aggressive that their veterinarian called me with concerns about the seriousness of the biting case that these 2 dogs had. They were bad. I couldn't get near these dogs, and I was told by the vet the dog will bite you and may even try to bite their owner. That's how serious a case it was. Yesterday, it was wonderful to come home from a busy day, sit down, check my email, and get this long, wonderful letter saying, "Thank you so much, George. What a huge difference. I can't believe that I've learned so much. I've learned how to relate to my dog." Things like this. This is why we do this. all right? The money pays the bills, but unless the heart is satisfied, unless the passion is satisfied, it's not going to make any difference to me, okay? I need to know that my clients are happy and the results are effective, and they're also very, very humane techniques to be able to teach these animals. It's there. Use it at your benefit. Try not to be, don't do what's easy, do what's right. Take the time to research. If you're going to go on the internet to look up something, follow it through all the way to understand who wrote the article. What's the difference? What's an alternative? If I'm not comfortable in doing something, what's an alternative? I'm not comfortable with doing this. I don't want to use compulsion. I don't want to put a choke chain on my dog. I don't want to hang my dog. I don't want to force my dog to do things. I want to encourage my dog to know the difference between right and wrong and teach them. Know what you want to look for. Don't look at the problem. Find out what you can do to fix it as an alternative instead of punishment for behavior. I hope this helps you, because really times have changed so much. My library has shrunken now with computers. I've actually moved into a smaller study and gave my wife a larger room for a sewing room, because I didn't need the library source that I've had in the past. I have everything I needed saved on hard drive or off-site somewhere. It's available to us. The dogs are worth it. You're going to be a lot happier knowing how to find a good kennel for your dog, knowing how to find a dog sitter. Make sure that your dog sitters or your dog walkers, make sure they have insurance. Make sure they are bonded if they're coming into your home to check on your animals. Make sure that you're covered to protect yourself, not just a resource for somebody to make life just a little easier. Make sure that they're professionals. Make sure that they know what they're doing, and make sure that they have the right credentials as insurance and bonding. Because somebody decides to run a doggy daycare out of their house, does that mean that they know how to handle a dog in case there's a bite? Can they handle a medical problem? Make sure that they can. Who they have and connected with as far as a vet. What's their credentials to understanding and prevent dog fights. Adopting a dog. Make sure that if you're going to adopt, check out a shelter. Go to their website often. Find out what the turnover rate of the dogs. Find out about their animals. Take your time. Do your research. Do your homework. You're going to go see a breeder? Definitely do your homework on a breeder. Make sure we're not talking with a puppy mill. Make sure you're talking with somebody who has the true love for the breed and wants to see the continuations of the natural behaviors of that particular breed, okay? I made sure that, believe me, when I went and got Merlin, we were going to invest our money into a purebred dog from a breeder. We did our homework on this breeder. Barbie came to me as a pup from somebody who bought 2 dogs from somebody who just had puppies, and I'm just as happy as having him in my life as I was by going to a breeder and finding one. But the thing is if wherever you go, whether it's an animal shelter or a rescue group, make sure that it's a reputable rescue group. Don't just think that you're going to run out, pick up a dog because you saw its picture on the internet, okay, and pick it up out of the back of a car or the back of a truck. Make sure that you know something about the history. Has the dog been through a foster home? Has the dog had some foundation? Is there a station the dog is going to come up to and go into that facility and adjust and settle in there so they can evaluate it before it comes into your home? Because once you take the dog into your home, we've got to remember, we take these animals in for life. They're not just presents. They're not just spontaneous gifts. We are teaching our children etiquette. We're teaching our children morals. We're teaching our children all the time. Maybe this is way off, but I don't want to see my 4-year-old granddaughter see dogs come in and out of her house and if it didn't work out, we'll just get rid of the dog. I dread the thought that a child might think that if it doesn't work out, if I misbehave, they'll get rid of me, just like they did Sparky. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the point is what are we teaching the family unit? Let's keep the family together. When we get our dogs, let's educate ourselves, educate the family, know why we're getting a dog, bring it into our life, and give it the best that we have. Folks, they're only with us for a very short time in their life. They're with us for, if we're lucky, 15 years. If we're 12 years and blessed to 15 years, okay? I feel very blessed that Bobby is going to be 11 years old in 2 months, and he's still healthy and active. We owe this to them, okay? We must dedicate ourselves to them. Because, folks, at the end of the day, remember, it's all about the dogs. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again.